Join us today as we explore the world of tariffs and their true impact on the U.S. economy. Discover how these import taxes not only aim to safeguard domestic industries but also affect the prices you pay and the jobs you count on. We'll unravel the complex ripple effects tariffs have on consumers and businesses alike. Tariffs, essentially, are a government tool used to impose taxes on imported goods, deep influence store prices, inflation, jobs, trade relationships, and can even trigger something as significant as a trade war. Before recent trade disputes, the average tariff rate in the U.S. was around 1.5%. However, during the Trump administration, tariffs on some countries rose dramatically, reaching 50%. A striking outcome of Mr. Trump's trade policy has been the significant surge in government revenue from tariffs. Last year alone, the U.S. collected around $287 billion in customs duties and related fees, marking an almost threefold increase from 2024. While this may sound like a win, the story doesn't end here. This amount is still small compared with the more than $2 trillion earned annually from income taxes, but it gives the government a significant new source of money for its spending, whether that's funding the military or Social Security, or paying interest on the U.S. debt. The impact of tariffs on the U.S. economy is multifaceted, affecting consumers, businesses, workers, and government dynamics. For consumers, the direct consequence of tariffs is higher prices on goods, contributing to inflationary pressures. Businesses face increased input costs and potential disruptions in supply chains, which can reduce competitiveness abroad. For workers, while some jobs are protected in specific industries, there is a risk of job losses, particularly in export sectors hit by retaliatory tariffs. The government may experience both revenue generation and economic drag, with potential escalations into trade wars and strategic decoupling from certain countries. Long-term impacts include potential changes in productivity, innovation, and shifts in global supply chains, which could lead to strategic reshoring. It is important for stakeholders to critically assess who truly bears the cost of tariffs and to stay informed about ongoing trade policy developments, as these decisions could have profound implications on national resilience and consumer costs. Key findings. Tariffs are a form of tax on imported goods that can protect domestic industries but raise consumer prices. The tariffs have caused notable price increases on consumer goods, impacting inflation rates. Businesses are facing increased input costs and disruption in supply chains, with some moving operations out of China. There are both protective impacts on some jobs but potential losses in export-driven sectors affected by retaliation. Government aims to balance revenue generation with potential negative effects like trade wars. Long-term effects could alter productivity and innovation, with lasting shifts in supply chain and trade dynamics. Understanding the ultimate burden of tariffs is crucial for evaluating economic policies critically. Data points. The average U.S. tariff rate increased significantly during recent trade tensions. Trade policies have cost U.S. households hundreds of dollars annually according to recent estimates. Industries like steel, aluminum, and agriculture have been directly impacted, with retaliatory tariffs affecting U.S. exports. Shifts in supply chains have seen operations move from China to countries like Vietnam and Mexico. Supply chain diversification and strategic reshoring are being observed as longer-term economic changes. So what should you do with this information? First, understand who really pays for tariffs. While they're often described as a tax on foreign producers, in practice, much of the cost is passed on to businesses and consumers at home through higher prices and reduced choices. Second, evaluate political claims critically. Tariffs are frequently framed as simple tools to protect jobs or strengthen domestic industries, but the reality is more complex. The benefits tend to be concentrated, while the costs are spread across the wider economy. Third, recognize the trade-offs in economic policy. Protecting one industry can raise costs for many others. What helps one group in the short term may create inflationary pressure, supply shortages, or retaliation that hurts exporters and workers elsewhere. Fourth, follow trade policy closely, especially during elections. Trade decisions can reshape industries, influence inflation, and affect employment long after the headlines fade. These policies don't just impact global markets, they show up in household budgets. And finally, think about how global supply chains affect your everyday life. From groceries and electronics to cars and construction materials, trade policies quietly influence what you pay and what's available. So here's the question to leave you with. Are tariffs a strategic investment in national resilience, or a hidden tax on consumers?